Okay, so today we are talking about the charts, the class joins, the parameterization, and how to reference the reports, and how to schedule the report, and what is the cascading dropdown. Let me go for one of the report which we can use. Insurance reports, report definition. Let's pick this one, insurance kit report. Okay, so this is a kind of a report that is a customized one because data table editor report is created by default when you create a case type. Same with the py default and py. So wherever you see this py, right? Py create is there, py or px or pz. That means those are created by the Pega. It's not created by us. These are the default rules. This is a normal name, insurance case report. That means this is created by us. Now, this particular report has 5 columns. Okay, 6, PYID, PY label, status work. And this will run over this particular class. This is our case type class. So query will be now select PYID, PY label, PY status work, age, first name and last name from this. That means it will fetch everything which is there inside that particular class. Let's run it first and see. Okay, some column is there which is not valid. So I need to delete something. Let's try this. I'll limit the data. Okay, let's try it with bound work, then I'll limit. Still it is not loading. Age I can delete. Okay. So you see now we have 4 columns, case ID, label, case status, and pending. So we have a 50 records here in a single page where we have 2 pages, and all the case ID which we are using nowadays, we are creating for testing. Sometimes we are using data transform, sometimes we are testing properties, page lists. So we are creating new cases. So those details are there. And now we are going to create a chart on this one. Let's go to chart tab. So they are providing us a message that you must save this report with at least one aggregated numeric column before defining a chart. That means it is mandatory to give an aggregate column here. So let's say I'll give aggregate column on status one. I'll give count. I'll save once. Let's go back to chart. So now button is enabled. Click on include chart. So this is our chart configuration form. So first, if you see chart editor is mentioned, then list of chart type that is supported in Pega report definition. So you can click on all chart types. So these are the options. We have a combo chart, area, funnel is there. The pyramid, it is a kind of a reverse only. Bubble, pie chart, I think these are the most common. Pie and bar, column 2. Then we have line, spark and gauge. Let's close this one. After that, we have a title option where you can configure the title of that particular chart once it is presented in the report. So I'll give like test chart. Font size is fine. This I'll make bold. Submit. Color setting. This is fine anyways. General setting, format option. Okay, this is the font and all. This I can increase the legend, and we can control the legend at what point you want to show in the bottom or in the top part, in the header, horizontally, vertically. And if you want to remove this chart and again come back to the default position, we have to click on the remove chart. Okay. So because we have selected I think 4 queries, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. So 4 available columns are there. Now again, we don't have to do any major configuration. We simply need to drag and drop. For example, which one is our aggregate? So let's say PY status work is our aggregate column. So aggregate column we have to put here. Even it is mentioned, drop aggregate column here. So if you see, it's added. Now let's put first name in the group by column here. And let's add label here. Okay. Now let's save and try how it will look. So this is a kind of a chart which is there. So for this is the legend, like insurance is there. We have selected the first name, the property we have selected, and the case status is aggregated property, and it is coming from this label. So we are showing labels here. So this way we can create different chart, and we have an option. If required, we can save it as an image, and we can share. Suppose if I switch to any other, suppose if I switch to pie chart, normal one. So it can only accept two parameters, which is already there. I will save. So this one is done. This is a 2D design, but for a couple of chart, we have an option that we can enable 3D option. Let's see. I think for this one, initial display in 3D where available. So we can available, select and submit. So this time 3D is coming. But if required, we can save it as an image and we can share. This is very simple and fun feature because it makes our UI and the reporting better. If we have to deal with the business in kind of, daily ways, we have to show how many cases we are creating, what exactly is happening in the application. So report and basically chart plays a very major role. So I deleted this one. I'll again put it blank. So by the time I will remove this aggregate column from here, again, it will be disabled. You see, it is disabled now. Okay. Now this one we already covered, that filters and all we can control here, the report title, grouping. Let's move to data access tab. Now this is the kind of a very complex tab and important too with respect to kind of a development phase. So now we have the first tab is class joins. I hope you understand the class join in like as with respect to technology, right? We have left join, right join, outer
Yeah,
join. So this is
Panda
the
does a
same
really
thing.
good job on there.
Yes. So this is the same thing. So suppose currently we are creating this particular report definition inside the insurance class, but you have another table in a different class, and then you want to extract the common data. So what you have to do, you have to give an identifier. For example, I give as AP. I give another class, which is second class. Let's say this one I'll select. Now, what I need to fetch? Only include matching rows. That means whatever is common between both the data, that only will be fetched by this particular report. And how they will match? They will match the keys. For example, for this particular class, the key is PGINS key. And for this class, it might be something else. But the data is same. So we are matching both the keys and then we'll find out the common data that we will fetch. So suppose I click on this edit condition. So currently we have to pass that equal condition. For example, PGINS key is equal to PGINS key. So this is a kind of condition that if PGINS key of the insurance table matches with the PGINS key of widget next app table, Then we will include the matching data. And suppose if I want to include any column which is there in this class, because for now I won't be able to do it because I created inside insurance. So what I have to do, I have to first pass that identifier AP. If I press a dot, that means these all properties are coming from that class. And if I remove this AP, I simply give a dot, that means I'm fetching it from the insurance class. So this is the difference. Now we have only include matching rows, only include all rows in this class. That means all rows will come from this particular class, and include all rows in joined class. So these three options we have. But again, functionality will remain same. You have to pass a class name, you have to pass a prefix, and you have to pass a condition for the primary key matching so that the data should match somehow. Cool. Then we have the declarative indexes. If you see here, currently I'm only passing the single properties. I'm not passing any page property or a page list property because even if I try to, Pega won't allow because PYID is a single property. It is saved in the cluster in a binary large object or part of the database. But page list property is very weird to show because they don't have a separate column, right? It's just in the clipboard we are showing inside. Let me see if I can show you something. Yep. For example, this one. How this will be stored? This will not be stored because we don't have any dedicated column for the page list. We have the dedicated columns for the page properties, sorry, for the single values. So for this thing, what we have to do, we have to create a dedicated column for each page list record. So for that, if you remember, we have created one declare index because this is a kind of advanced topic. So I don't want to deep dive, but again, it will work same way. You have to create an index name and then you have to select here. And how we can create that, I'll also show you once. So inside the sysadmin, we have an option called declare index. Let me open anything, this one only. So what we are doing here, so suppose we have a source class data party and we creating custom class that is index class. And we are mapping all the source properties with the index class properties. So that each record has a separate table now. Address of one has a separate table inside this class and the address of two will have a separate table so that it is easy to access the data in the report definition. Same way we have to implement. If I give AP dot, then party URI properties I can access. If I give like normal, then class insurance I can access. Associations you can completely ignore, not at all required. No one use this thing. Then we have the sub report. That means if you want to call one report and from that report we want to call another report, or we want to use the data of a one report as a input for another report. In those requirements, we have to use sub report feature. Again, we have to give a class name. We have to give a report name now because we are talking about sub reports. Then we have to configure the requirements. So number of rows returned from the sub report. If it is more than one, go for more than one. Where will you use sub report? Right hand side of the filters, left side of the filters. And if we only want to include the columns, suppose 5 columns were coming from a different one report definition, 5 column is coming from the one report definition. Now we can add one report definition here to fetch those 5 columns, and I can pass the prefix AP or anything, and then I can include those columns here. That means 5 I added from this class and 5 I added from that sub report if they are different in some structure. So these are the four things inside the data access tab. Apart from this, we have general setting where we can control how much, like basically with respect to data. For example, if you see maximum number of rows to retrieve, currently is setting disable paging to set max row. That means as of now, no limit is there. It just paging will be enabled. So if you access 1,000 records, it will be divided with respect to 50 records per page. On where that 50 is mentioned, inside report viewer, if I go to enable paging option, here you can see page size is 50 and the page mode is numeric. So if I disable the paging, let me save. Okay, empty column is there. Let me delete. Data access. Now, this particular column is enabled now. Maximum number of row to retrieve. I can pass anything. 10,000 I can pass. Maximum elapsed time in seconds. How much maximum time should we allow this report to use? 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds as per the requirement. Maximum number of rows to export 10,000. Maximum time for export 30 seconds. And this is like default setting, which is INS key, which is again the primary key for the table. So this is all about our data access tab. Any questions, Francis, in this one? Okay,
Yeah, no questions.
okay, cool. Now let's talk about scheduling report. Okay, let me put this bar somehow a little above. Here it is. Let me go to the user portal once. In mostly all kind of portals, Pega provides a reporting navigation formula, which is this one, reports. So if you click on this one, it is a dedicated reporting kind of dashboard. Yesterday we saw how it will look for the manager. Today we are just checking the user portal. I mean, in whichever operator you provide a user portal access, they can have this reporting dashboard. Now, so whichever report we access, it will come here. If you remember yesterday we accessed fraud watch list 23 hours ago. So it is coming here. And if I go to all reports, so these are all the reports provided to us by the Pega. You can see average elapsed time per status. You can track very, very minute changes. I mean, if the business stakeholder is very active, right, they can have a very deep control on every action. So suppose if someone want to schedule a report, now scheduling means they want a particular report to be sent to them at a particular point of time, either every day or day after, 2 intervals, 3 intervals, anything. So we can create this formula. So let's understand for this one, fraud watch list. I click on this gear icon. Here we have an option for schedule. So let's click on this one. So now, so this is the task definition. Task name is fraud watch list test. Task description. Category name, this is by default category. Public report, analyze, quality. Yesterday we selected this one. Then the report class is there. This is the report name and the shortcut name. Now, when we want to schedule this report, let's say 11 p.m. or occurrence is like one time and recurring task. So one time doesn't make sense. Let's go for the recurring. So the frequency will be daily. Instead of 11 p.m., I'll make it 10 a.m. Okay, 11 a.m. is fine. So every weekday. So every weekday is fine. Don't want to get bothered on the weekends. Start date, let's suppose we're starting this from 15th. Is there any end date? If yes, we can pass end by and we can select the date through calendar, or end after if you want to pass any occurrence after 50 occurrence, 60 occurrence, 70 occurrence, like that. Or if there is no end date, then you can select no end date. Now, when this particular schedule will be generated, in which format we want this particular report, either in the PDF file or in the Excel file. So Pega support these two. Now, we have one option, enable authorized user to subscribe to task notification. Like we have mostly in the website, we have an option to subscribe for the newsletters or subscribe for job promotions, subscribe for the marketing. So similarly, we can enable this and the interested and the authorized users can also subscribe to this particular schedule so that they can also get this email every day. Now, because I have created this schedule, so by default, my ID is coming. But if I want, I can add some more. Then the attach output to the notification, how you want it. Email, right? So we have to configure the notification message here. Let's click on this one. Email subject. I'll give like business daily report. Then I can customize the message here. Blah 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 blah. And submit. So this is done. Configuration is completed 11 a.m. every day. Frequency is daily. Every week it will run. So it will start from 15th. There is no end date. I want PDF format. And right now it will come through my ID. I'll submit. So scheduling is done. So how can we check schedule is done completely or and how we can check it? So Pega provides us a default class that is Pega dash schedule task. If I click on this leaf icon, you see one instance is created. This one, schedule reporting task. If I click here, whatever we have added, that is saved here. Now we have some background jobs or a background agent that will wake up at 11 a.m. in the morning on 15th and it will complete this task. So this is how the scheduling in the report definition works. It is a very useful feature. You don't have to do much thing. You simply need to just configure a couple of things. That's it. You see, now we have option for unsubscribe. And if someone interested they want to, they can go to their operator ID, they can log into the user portal, they can come to the report tab and they can subscribe. Same, if I want to unsubscribe, I can unsubscribe. Very simple to use. Any question from this, Francis?
No, no questions.
So that means CT is the control, basically a drop down, which depend on the configuration of the state control, right? I mean, if I select state A, then cities might be different. But if I select state B, then again cities will change because this particular control has a dependency on the state. Similarly, state values has a dependency on the country control. If I select countries A, then state will differ and correspondingly cities will differ. If country B is selected, then again state will change and city will change. So let's see how we can do this thing. Let's create something new. I'll name this like cascading dropdown. Submit. So new case type is added. I don't want this form step. I want a normal step. So I'll delete this one. Click on plus step, collect information. This I'll rename as select details. This one also rename details This one I'll rename like select details. So we need only one shape, one stage as of now. If required, we can add some resolution, but let's see. I saved it. I go to configure view. Let's add fields. I need one field for country. Submit and add another. I need one for state. And I need one for city. So basically, we are going to understand a concept which we can apply at any point. Wherever cascading dropdown is there, we can implement same logic. Let's submit. Let's save it once. Now, we need a place where country, state, and city configuration is added. So let's go to data type, add one data. Add data type. This I'll give country, state, city. Submit. Now I go to records. Okay, source is not configured. Let's come here and we need to add properties here too. So let's say I add country for the data type. State for the data type. And city for the data type. So my data model is added for the data type. Now I'll go to records and I'll configure a local source because all these values I'll store in Pega. So country is there, state is there, city is there. I have to add one more for the unique key. Let's add PYGUID. So this I'll make as key. Now submit. So what will be created? This is the columns. This is the data table, mapping table, report definition, and single data page, list data page, and save all data page. Let's close. It will be refreshed. And now we can populate the columns. So GUID, I'll add one, record one. Let's say country, I'll add India. State is Delhi. City is New Delhi. I'll add one more record. Record two. India, Mumbai, or let's say Andheri. Record three. I'll write for Canada, let's say Toronto, Ontario. I'll add one more record for Canada, Vancouver. This one for, let's say, Surrey Central. Record 5, let's say, for Europe. Or anyways, I can write Netherlands. Okay. So we have 5 records now in this data type. I'll save once. Now let's go to our section. Case type, cascading dropdown, configure view. But we need to open the section. App Explorer. This time we are talking about different section. So we need to open that. Here. Let's go to work first. And we have cascading drop down. I'll pin this class so that I can easily use it. Or I can directly open from here also, that is fine. Open process, click on the connector and flow action, then section. This is one way to open. And second is you can go to directly UI and you can go to section and open the select detail. So it will open the same thing. Now I want to convert this to full section editor because this is in the app view mode, which is have very limited functionality. Now it is done. So I click on this country. If you see, it is a text input, but I need to change it to a drop down. So I'll go here and change it to drop down. So by the time it is changed to drop down, I have one option, that is list source. That means this is a drop down property, that's fine, but from where data should come. So currently it is mentioned as defined on property, but no, I want from a data page because my data is inside a data type, and data page can temporarily store in the data page and then I can show. Now which data page I can use here? I can use a list data page. Let's see if I go here in the usage, Pega created list one for us, t underscore country state city list. T underscore country state city list. Let's select which URL you want to show from the data page, country. Let's submit now. Save. And let's create one. Cascading drop-down case. Now, you see, India, India, Canada, Canada, and Netherlands. So these are coming repeated times. Why? Because in our data type also, it is stored multiple times, 2 times India, 2 times Canada, and 1 time Netherlands is there. So that's why same way is coming. Now, if you remember that when we started the report definition, we have used one option, duplicate, like remove duplicate row. So we have to do one thing here. We have to remove the duplicates. Because this is a Pega created data type, so it's better to use a different one. So I'll open the same thing and I will do a save as. Because the configuration is kind of same, I just need to change one report part because I have to enable the remove duplicate feature. So I'll give like fetch countries. Same way, I'll open this report because this is out of the box, which I don't want. And I'll save as fetch country. Let's delete these extra things. Because currently we have to fetch only country. So state, city are also not required. And I'll save it here. Let's see if I'll run this, what will happen. It is giving me India, India, Canada, Canada, Netherlands. Now I'll select remove duplicate. I'll save. Let's run now. Still India because key is there. So we have to remove the key column too. because we only need country. I'll save. Yes, so we have Netherlands, Canada, and India 3 times. Cool. Now let's go back to the this report we can close because we already created one for us. This database we can close. We already created one. Let's update this report definition with the new one. Fetch country. I'll save and let's run and test this database. Click on run. Come to this PX results and we have 3 records only. So duplicate is removed. And now we can simply use this database information. Now let's go to the section, select detail, and instead of this database, let's add the one which we just now created. I guess we created fetch country. Fetch country. Property for value again is country, and this will also save. Submit, save. I'll go to here. I'll do a refresh. So now we have only 3 options: Netherlands, Canada, and India. But I don't want, like, by default Netherlands is selected, right? This is injustice. So we will give a placeholder. How we can do that? Go to this property. You come down. There's one checkbox to include placeholder. So I'll give something like select. I'll come here. I'll save, refresh, go. So this is better now that by default we are showing select. And once you can click drop down, then we can select the value. So our country configuration is done. Now we have to talk about the state. So for state, we need to create one more data page now. So first I need to change this to drop down and data page. So let's say for this one, I'll modify. Okay, this one only we can. Let's create a report first. For this one, we will use fetch state. We have to add dot state. Country is not required, but even if you leave it, that's fine. But we'll delete it, otherwise duplicate thing will come into picture. I'll disable this option for now. Then we have to add a parameter because we have to pass the country and then we have to fetch the state. So country is a parameter which I'm creating, which is of type text. So once the column source, that means which is country, matches with param.country, it will provide me the state. Now the query is like select state from city, country, state, where country is equal to the parameter value. So let's run once. So right now, all 5 are coming because country is not selected. It is any country. If I filter it, select values, is Canada, apply changes. So only 2 is coming, Toronto and Vancouver now. So this report is working fine. Now we have to create data page for this particular report because report definition don't store data, right? They only fetch it. Now we will go inside this one, t underscore fetch country. This I'll save as fetch state. Create. Now we will use the report definition as fetch state. And we also need one parameter here. The same thing, country. So this is the parameter, but we will pass the database parameter. That is param dot country. Let's test this also. Run. I'll pass Canada. If I expand results, we have two values. Yes, Toronto and Vancouver. So this is working fine. Let's go to our section and update the database. That is d underscore fetch state. If you are getting any question at any point of time, you just tell me. We can check it at the same time. Now, country value we have to pass. If you see in the case, this value is the country which we have to pass as a parameter to the state. So I'll give like dot country. What value we have to show? We have to show state. Configuration is done. But most probably, even the configuration is done, it will now show us the records. Why? Let's see. See, by default, it is showing me everything. But this doesn't make sense, right? Mumbai, Toronto, everything is coming. If I select Netherlands, it is showing me only one value. Okay, it is refreshing at the backend by default, which is a good way. If I set Canada, it is showing me Vancouver and Toronto. If I set India, showing me Delhi and Mumbai. Nice. So this is working as a cascading approval. So same way again, we want to populate the corresponding city. Now we need the report definition this time for city. So I'll save as. So I need a parameter here for state because state I will pass. I have to declare a parameter here, which is of type text. I'll add param dot state. I need to fetch city. Report is done. I'll modify this fetch state data page to get the cities. I need to update this country parameter because this time we are passing state. Need to update this report with city. Here parameter also we need to update to param dot state. This data page is also ready. Let's go to our section for the city. I'll change this to drop down. Oh, I clicked on checkbox. Data page, d underscore fetch city. Parameter will pass state property, which we are selecting above. Value for property will be city. Submit, save. Let's refresh this. Okay. If I select India, the state will be Delhi and Mumbai. If I select Mumbai, you see city is Andheri. If I select Delhi, city is New Delhi. If I change country to Canada, state is Toronto. But if I change it to Vancouver, city is Surrey. If I change it to Toronto, state is Ontario. So this is how the cascading drop-down will work, where we have to pass one value as a parameter to the other value, and all the controls are interdependent on each other.